Hey now, how you doing, Kings? Hopefully everybody's doing good and on the upswing of things, yeah? I was sitting here in the garage and I was just thinking to myself, what type of videos could I really do that would matter, that would truly help someone or guide somebody or give them a little encouragement or whatever it is. And then my past, yeah, reared its ugly head, and I started thinking about it instead of what it was that I was going to talk to you on the other end watching the video about. And it's weird how perspectives and things change from the time when you're little to the time when you reach 50, yeah? So I thought about this thing, this whole event that happened when I was a kid. And I'll share it with you. Just because I don't know what the hell else to talk about, really. So there I was. I was 10 years old at the time, and I went to our cousin's house, and played around and goofed around as kids did back then, yeah? We didn't spend a lot of times inside as kids do today. You know, our PlayStation was the tree line, yeah? Well, for the sake of these people, I'm going to change the names up. But the story within itself is true. This is all true. We decided there's a really big pine tree. And we weren't deterred by getting the pine sap all over your hands that you had to eventually wear off, because it sure in hell wouldn't wash off, no? So we look way up there in the tree and we decided, you know what, we're going to make a fort up there. So we went up behind the barn and found a bunch of spare pieces of wood laying around, and we decided that we would go up there and nail some boards around in this tree and make a fort up there. This is 10 years old, mind you, okay? The weirdest thing happened. I think it put me in a state of shock for a little bit. And I didn't necessarily realize it at that given moment and that evening prior till the following morning, what was happening inside my mind's eye, right? Well, let's call him Gary, cousin number 2. And let's call cousin number 1 Mike, right? So cousin number one, Mike, he comes up with an idea of how to get the lumber up there and the pieces of wood and start hammering away, and it sounded like a pretty cool idea at the time. And then cousin number two comes in to play. Now, mind you, he's a better tree climber than all three of us put together. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, back then, I can climb the shit out of a tree. I probably still can now, but a lot better at it then, yeah? So, cousin number two goes flying up this tree, and something happened where he lost footing or missed a branch that he tried to grab, and he fell out of the tree. Now, I was bottom side. I wasn't even in the tree at the point. And Chad was on the last big branch before you get to the bottom. And the irony of it is he touched the ground before cousin number two fell out of the tree. It was almost like one right after another, real in quick succession, you know? And I'm sitting there, awestruck, and cousin number two is holding his mouth. And he just tried to talk, and this blood was everywhere, coming out of his mouth. Now, unbeknownst to me at the time, I thought maybe he bit his lip or whatever, which will lead me into another story that just reminded me of. I'll tell you that too, after I get done with this one. He ends up biting his tongue, not his lip. He bit his fucking tongue in half. In half, mind you. Not a little cut in the tongue, you know. I'm talking cut in half. Half of it still in his mouth, the other half is floating around in there, right? So it must have put me in a state of shock, because for years after that, all the way up till I was, damn near 14, 15 years old, I had dreams about that very thing happening, but happening to me. It was me that fell out of the tree, right? And it's weird, because in my dreams, I didn't bite my tongue in half like cousin number two did. In my dreams, when I hit, I remember this electric feeling in my face, yeah? And I hit so hard in my dream that my legs weren't strong enough to be able to handle the drop to the ground, and my legs buckled like this and bent at the knee, and then I hit my mouth on my knee, and that's where my knee came up and hit me in the face. But it wasn't my tongue, and it was every single one of my teeth, and my gums were there was just these bloody sockets oozing everywhere, you know. All my teeth were on the ground in front of me, on the grass. That always freaked me out. And for like I said, for years afterwards, I thought in my mind's eye I was having dreams of me losing all my teeth like that. It freaks you out as a kid. Obviously, your mind can, really play tricks on you. But that's a true story. Bit his fucking tongue in half. Unreal. And with a second story, that reminded me of. This was in school. This happened when I was in school. It happened right next to me. And the kid's name was Blanchard. And the only reason why I say that name is because he's no longer he's deceased now. He's been gone for a long time, you know. But this kid, Blanchard, I don't know what grade it was in, but I know it was before you go to like high school type grade, you know, like 9th through 12th or whatever, however they do that. And there was like an event or like a share type of event where you had your parents make things or whatever, and you'd bring them into the school to share, yeah, in a classroom or whatever. And like a classroom, you know, some type of party, whatever. And just in the classroom, just for those specific kids in that classroom. So I remember going into the school, and Blanchard had this tray, like a flat cookie sheet, but it didn't have cookies on it, right? It had these cupcakes on there, and on the cupcakes, there was a toothpick on each one of those cupcakes that were all in neat little rows on this tray, and it had like a piece of clear plastic over it, you know. So I don't know. So maybe it wouldn't mess up the icing or frosting or whatever you call it on the top of the little cakes there. So he's walking up with his tray, and I asked him if he wanted me to help him. He's like, "No, I'll get it. I can get it." So we were walking up the stairs, and wouldn't you know it, this fucking kid, Blanchard, slips and falls face first as he's holding this fucking tray full of fucking not pancakes, full of these cupcakes things. And he snaps his head back and he looks at me, and he's right through his lip into his mouth, and there's only about maybe a half inch left sticking out of his lip out of that goddamn the toothpick that was on top of the cupcakes, right? Went right through his lip. Freaked me out because I mean, he mushed the shit out of those cupcakes, but there was only that one. Luckily, he didn't get it in the eyes or whatever, but it went right through his fucking lip. The oddest thing I ever saw in my life, next to having somebody bite their fucking tongue in half, yeah? So I'm looking at this kid, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, Tommy, your lip. He's like, I don't want to talk, because this thing is stuck in his face, in his lip. I couldn't believe it. And the only reason why there wasn't any blood in there is because he didn't spit right away, because he couldn't. He was afraid because the toothpick was still stuck in his mouth. Went past his teeth. Went right up into his lip, and it's sticking out, and the rest of it's inside of his mouth there. And he didn't pull it out, because then I'm sure it would have bled like a bastard, yeah, but it didn't. He didn't bleed anyway. Unbelievable. And I remember I didn't get to have any of those cupcakes either. I don't think he even bothered sharing them after that. We ran into some classroom. That wasn't even in the nurse's office. We just told the teacher that he had an accident, and he's got his hands like this, and this thing sticking out of his lip. And of course the teacher jumped up and took him to the infirmary, to the nurse's office there. Couldn't believe it. Could not. Couldn't believe it. Those are some of the stupid things that I remember, you know? So there I was. These eyes must have been as big as my stomach at the time, or bigger than that, maybe even like saucer size. And I just, freak thing that happened. And there's shitloads, there's like that type of stuff my whole life. Something else. Yeah, let's see, I'm at, holy cow, I'm almost at 15 minutes already. 16 minutes? I didn't think it'd take that long to talk about. You're probably bored off your mind, or off your ass, or whatever, or bored out of your mind and off your ass, or whatever. You know, show me your ass. Show me. Yeah. Man, oh man. I don't know. Those goofiest things you think about. I hope you guys are doing good. Be well, kings. I'll talk to you again soon.